What's up, TTFF people, and welcome to the Tucson Family Food Project. My name is Steven Cotorobles. This week we're doing a recipe I've been wanting to do since the Tucson Family Food Project first started, and it's something I've received a lot of requests for. And now that we have this amazing relationship with Oatman Farms, we can finally do it the right way, with super high quality flour. Here's the thing about this recipe though, it takes time. So read the recipe and plan out how you're gonna do it, because you're legit making the dough from scratch. Now this is the first of 3 of these types of recipes we'll be doing this year. And while this may seem intimidating, I promise you it is not hard. And with the big bag of flour you got, you can make this recipe at home regularly using whatever toppings you want. And the more you practice it, the better it's gonna be. The dough we're gonna make today is called focaccia. It's a traditional Italian bread that can be used for all kinds of stuff. You can use it for sandwiches or even as a side dish by itself. But today, we're gonna be using it to make focaccia pizza. In your meal kit this week, you have 8 ounces of mozzarella cheese, 16 ounces of pizza sauce, 6 ounces of ricotta cheese, 6 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 1 1/4 ounces of Parmesan cheese, 2 1/2 teaspoons of salt, 1 1/2 teaspoons of active dry yeast, an optional 2 teaspoons of red pepper flakes, and this week you all received a 5-pound bag of Oatman Farms regeneratively grown organic Blue Beard Durum Flour. This is specifically for pizza and pasta, so you can use it to make this recipe a bunch more times, and we'll use this type of flour again down the road for more fun stuff. And to make this recipe, you're gonna need a baking sheet, a nice big bowl, a wooden spoon, a measuring cup that is either a 1 cup measuring cup and a 1/2 cup measuring cup, or you might have something like this where it's 1 1/2 cups all by itself. You're gonna need to measure 4 1/2 cups. You'll also need some plastic wrap, something to handle the hot pan when it's coming out of the stove, a butter knife, and a spoon. So the first thing we're gonna do is measure out 4 cups of flour. So because this is a 1 1/2 cup measuring cup, I know I need to do this 3 times to get 4 1/2 cups. So there is a technique for how we're gonna measure out the flour. You don't just wanna take this and scoop it out of the bag and throw it in there. That's not an accurate measurement. To accurately measure this, I cut my bag away here so you can see what I'm gonna do. You wanna use your spoon to lighten up the flour, make sure that there's no big clumps. And we're gonna put this into our cup, our measuring cup. Doing it over the bag will be the cleanest, but you're gonna make a mess probably no matter what, so no worries. And then any of those chunks I'm gonna break up a little bit. So what I wanna do is overfill this cup. You can tell it's light. I haven't packed it down or anything. And now I'm gonna use my knife to even this out. There we go. Now that is 1 1/2 cups that we'll add into our bowl, and we'll keep doing this until we get 4 cups. So now that we have our flour all measured, we're gonna make our dough. Something I forgot to mention at the beginning that you're gonna need is 1 3/4 cups of lukewarm water. Lukewarm just means a little bit warm. Definitely not hot, but not cold either. This is a 16-ounce glass. If you have something like this, you can fill it up to just about right there, or you can use measuring cups to measure out your water. So what we're gonna do now is put in our yeast, our salt, and then with a wooden spoon, we're just gonna mix this together to make sure all of that yeast and salt is evenly dispersed throughout the flour. And like I said, there's no clean way to do this. You're gonna make a mess no matter what, so don't worry about it. Now that we have that done, we're gonna pour in one of these. You'll have 2 in your meal kit. This is 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. We're just gonna pour this in here. As well as our 1 3/4 cups of lukewarm water. And now we're gonna mix. You wanna make sure you have nice clean hands. I like going in there with my hands. You could use a spoon, but I think your hands are easier. And one of the things about this is you can add more flour or water depending on the consistency. So if you didn't get the measurements exactly right this time, we can always fix it in a little bit. So now we're just gonna mix this up. And basically we wanna keep going until no powdery flour remains and we have a nice ball of dough. A little trick I like to use is as you're working with this in your hands, you'll be able to feel spots that are kind of, that have a lot of moisture to them. So like for example, like this spot here, I'm gonna put down to collect some of that dry flour. Now this is what we're looking for, a sticky, shaggy ball of dough. We're just gonna knead this a few times. Get all of that on there. Perfect. Now we're gonna cover this with plastic wrap and we're gonna let this sit at room temperature for 2 hours. And that's gonna give the yeast time to put air in the dough. And after 2 hours, you're gonna notice that this will about have doubled in size. Now this is gonna sit here at room temperature for 2 hours to rise, and after those 2 hours, it's gonna go into the refrigerator for at least 8 hours, up to 24, and then we'll start our focaccia pizza. rest of our olive oil. Just drizzle this on there. I'm gonna save a little bit because I think we might end up needing a little more. Now we're just gonna give this a little coat. This is gonna help ensure that our plastic wrap doesn't stick to this. And then we're just gonna loosely cover this. We're gonna let it rest for about 10 minutes. So now that our dough's been resting for about 10 minutes, we're gonna take off the plastic and we're gonna continue to spread it out until we reach the ends of the pan, or as close as we can get. And if you notice that you're spreading it out and it starts to shrink back, then you wanna cover it and let it rest a little bit more, and then it'll be ready for you. Now as I'm doing this, I can kind of feel like where thick spots are. And so what you want to do is try to make it as even as possible. If you just keep pushing on those thick parts, it'll just keep redistributing it until you get it right where you want it. All right, now we're gonna cover this back up one more time, and we're gonna let this rest for 25 minutes, and then we're gonna be ready to start our pizza. So now that our dough's been resting for about 25 minutes, we can take the plastic off, and now we can get rid of this. We won't be using it anymore. And what we're gonna do is take about half of our mozzarella cheese, and you can just kind of break it up with your hands here. And we're gonna sprinkle about half of this over our dough. And just like you would a pizza, you're gonna leave a little room on the edge for the crust. Then we're gonna use a spoon to put on our pizza sauce. So we're just gonna do our best job to even this out. It's okay if there's some areas that don't have sauce, and the amount of sauce you have here is a pretty good amount, so you might not even need to use all of it if you don't want to. Now we're gonna go ahead and put the rest of our mozzarella on there. And then the last thing we're gonna do before this goes into the oven is put on our ricotta cheese. If you have a little bit of liquid down there, that's okay. You can just mix it right in. And then we can just randomly put some dollops of this all over the pizza. And if you're anything like me and you like the sauce and the cheese, you're gonna get every last little bit. All right, now this is ready to go into our 475-degree oven for 17 to 20 minutes, or until the crust has started to brown and the cheese is melted. See you in 17 to 20 minutes. there is our focaccia pizza. I left this in for just a little under 19 minutes to get it to look like this. So we're just gonna let it cool for about 5 minutes, then we can cut and serve. All right, time for a taste test. Oh, that's very good. Dang, that's really good. Definitely different than a traditional pizza crust, but it works for sure. The ricotta is really good. This could go good with so many different toppings. That's awesome. So something you guys might not know is this is the first time I make these recipes a lot of times too, the ones that I'm teaching you. This one came out really good. I do plan on making this focaccia bread and doing other different toppings because it is pretty simple. Now that we have all this flour, we might as well do it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your pizza came out really good. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you back here next week with another delicious recipe. I love, appreciate, and respect all of you. Until next time, peace.